Doofus Show. I'm your host, Barry Welsh. Gonna be a doofus tonight. We're live, and if anybody out there has any questions or comments, we'll try to address them. I've got some few things to talk about first. Title of the episode is Louisville's Not Over. It hadn't even started yet, and I believe that we got through Louisville September 5th last Saturday. We're still talking about it. Of course, it was an historic day, and it was a godsend to me that things were peaceful. It hasn't started in Louisville yet. It starts in Louisville when the decision comes down whether or not to punish the police officers, arrest, prosecute, and bring to trial the police officers responsible for killing Breonna Taylor. And if that decision comes down the wrong way, that's when it starts in Louisville. So that's why I say Louisville's not over. It hadn't even started yet. And I've gotten, if you want to message me, other than right now, you can email me at americandoofus@gmail.com. You can go to American Doofus on Facebook and message me there. But we've got some guests here. We're just kicking the live off. Dave Blackford. Hello, Dave. I was just going to talk about you. I'll go ahead and do so. Dave Blackford was on yesterday, as was Darren Harris, and going to be talking both of those interviews. Earlier today, we had Chris on, our militia expert. I don't know how we forgot to mention this yesterday. What did we forget to mention, Dave? That Louisville. Okay, yeah, I got you. Never mind, I got you. And we're not going to lose focus on Louisville, not by a long shot, and we're not going to lose focus on NFAC because the NFAC it's basically 2 months old. The first formation was in Stone Mountain, July 4th, and here 2 months later, and a lot of people are expecting the NFAC to be this well-oiled, well-polished unit when they're from all over the country and can't get together to become well-oiled and well-polished in a very short amount of time. So we're going to keep an eye on the NFAC. Grandmaster Jay, we're going to, of course, pay attention to what's going on with Grandmaster Jay. And I want to mention that somebody messaged me and said, Angry Viking wants to debate Grandmaster Jay on national television. And, I said in a couple episodes that I was hoping it would be like championship wrestling and it would be all hype and they'd come out and, Angry Viking beat his chest. Oh, Angry Viking, and Grandmaster Jay would be all professorial and then everybody'd sell t-shirts and everybody'd go home safe. And taking this to a possibly televised debate kind of reinforces my belief because, I have Dave comes on, a legal expert. I bring on people that have military background, militia background, intelligence background, and I bring people on with real life experiences. So I kind of provide the political, the public relations side of things, if you will. And from public relations, as far as the Angry Viking and as far as NFAC, public relations wise, the day was a success on multiple levels. On the level that attention was gained, I'm sure recruitment is going up in both sides, and everybody got home safe. That to me was absolutely the most important part. I I want to mention Darren Harris real quick. Darren is, in my opinion, Darren's a good young man, and people were on me to, why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you, why didn't you cut him off? Why didn't you redirect him? Why didn't you do this and that? And I got to admit, there were times I was like inside myself going, whoa, whoa, Darren, but he is an intelligent, passionate, loving young man that cares about his family, his surrounding area, and his people. And if I would have cut him off, if I would have redirected, haven't you seen enough of a white person stopping a black person from expressing themselves? I hope so. I let the man speak. Agree with him, disagree with him, like it, don't like it. That's what the country's all about. We forget that. It's okay to disagree. We're in such a climate and such a heated environment that if somebody doesn't think, look, and act and believe exactly as somebody else does, then they are worthless. They don't count. They're not American. How did we get to this place? Monolithic thinking. The idea that all white people believe this way, all black people believe this way, all Hispanic people believe this way, all Native American, and it's not true. I mean, all you got to do is, go through the comment sections on a few episodes. It's not true, but yet we all somehow we foster those impressions instead of breaking them down. And I've had a lot of people tell me, I ask what can we do? What can we do as white people who understand it's freaking wrong. Everything's wrong. What can we do? And I'm told, silence is violence, and talk to your people. Well, I'm talking. I'm spreading seeds, in my opinion. I'm spreading seeds of equality, peace, and justice. And to me, that should be the American way. It should be the Christian way. But I've seen a lot of perverted views of Christianity lately. That's for another episode. Actually, with Chris on racial holy war, and it's an episode I'm not looking forward to doing, but it's an episode that absolutely has to be done, and concepts brought to light. I also get, and I totally understand why some of you have sent me this comment. I don't listen to white people. I totally get that. I totally understand. I do, but again, we're not monolithic. Actually, during the time of slavery in the North, there were areas that were part of the Underground Railroad. Now, this wasn't an actual railroad with train tracks and train cars and train engines. No, this was various paths that were alternated so that no one would know who was coming on which path at which time, into safe houses and communities on their way to Canada, where nothing could happen to them. And the North called them escaped slaves because they had escaped their slavery. The South called them runaways because they were part of their property. I grew up in a community that was proud to be the home of a place called the Beehive. It was a giant yellow house that actually sat right behind the house where I grew up, and it was part of the Underground Railroad. They would hide people in the cellar that they had designed, so that if anybody came looking for them, there was no way they would ever find them. And then they would move them on up the Underground Railroad as the path towards north progressed. And we're not all monolithic. Now, the loudest ones, the most vocal ones, the ones that are very shallow, you'll recognize them. They say, Trump 2020, USA, USA, USA. We're not going to get to those people. We have to marginalize them, if at all possible. Because, when you say talk to your people, those people are not going to hear. Okay? Those people are not going to hear. My hope is there are enough of us that can hear. And I'm, I mentioned that with Dave, I mentioned that I was going to start an organization called WAR, WAR, Whites Against Racism, and somebody mentioned because, I studied it a couple of weeks back because I was going to do an episode before everything heated up. I was going to do an episode on the actual racial injustices that have happened in Portland, Oregon, because a lot of, the spin was that, these kind of things don't happen in Oregon. Well, these kinds of things have happened in Portland. And the reason I bring that up is because there was a group in Portland called WAR, and they were the White Aryan Resistance, skinheads, Nazis. The reason Antifa formed in the United States was because of this group. And my initial thought was, well, there's no way I can start a group named that. And then I thought, I'm going to look at it legally, and I'm going to investigate legally and see if I can start a group named that and take that power away. And also, having a group named WAR that actually stands for peace, that kind of might help take some of the power away from the USA, USA, USA people. And then you got a group called the Whites Against Racism. And if you don't want to join that, it makes a statement. Let's just say that. So that's and it may be nothing but an online. It may just be me and 5 or 6 other people to go right on. And that's okay. I'm not, if it goes global, well, it should, because racism is a problem globally. But again, I've talked more about things than I had. I talked about more things than I've anticipated. I want to, because I want to get some questions and some comments. C. Trey, you're the first one that I see here. Grandmaster Jay is a Mason working for New World Order with that Ankh and throwing up the Mason sign and an Egyptian eye is all Masonic. My dad was a Mason, and also what's known as a Shriner, were Fez and so yeah, I've seen the all-seeing eye. I'm not sure how the Ankh fits in, and I don't know what Masonic signs he's been throwing up. So I can't, I can't say yes or no or give an opinion. YTBC, thank you. Peace to you as well. Old man, hey, you old doofus. Hey, old man, how are you? I hope your life's good. Um, see, Trey, go look up the pics on Google. I will after this. Um, Old man, I agree. You are wishy-washy. Uh, I don't know what I'm wishy-washy about. I'm a white guy saying that um, blacks deserve equality. They've been suffering from injustice, and until they have justice, until they have inequality, we're not going to have a peaceful nation. I don't think that's wishy-washy. I think that's pretty well straight damn nail on the frickin' head with a big hammer. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm the host of a show called The American Doofus. And again, I've made a couple of call outs. I want to have somebody from the 3% militia or the Oath Keepers, any militia. I want somebody from one of the other big three. I'd love to have Grandmaster Jay come on here for 15 minutes and, tell me how wrong I've been about certain things. I'd love to have the Angry Viking come on here and tell me how wrong I am about certain things. I want to hear opinions from all sides. I've got a couple of guests coming up in the next couple of days that I'm really excited about. Two guns from an independent of the Big Four, an independent militia based in Louisville is going to be back on tomorrow, and I really look forward to that. And then I'm going to have Devontae. Devontae is the owner of the only Black independent media outlet in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we're going to talk about struggles he faces. Then we're going to talk about cases in Indiana and around Indianapolis. And I hope you all watch, because you're going to learn some things about, this is so much bigger than the names we always hear. We always hear George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain. We know the names, but there are so many other names that so many of us don't hear. So we're going to talk about some of those names with Devontae from Real Indie News. So let's get back. M. Mills, why are you so fixated on the NFAC? The Black militia doesn't need white critique. Find another muse. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. I started reporting on the NFAC the first time I became aware, and I said, I believe Grandmaster Jay is going to be one of the most influential people in 2020, and to not report on that, especially with a channel that's focused on social justice and peace and equality, that's just not going to happen. I never know anything confidential from anybody. I never know any planning or anything like that. I just make observations, and my observation is that the NFAC is a needed force in the Black community. So no, I'm not gonna. I'm not fixated on it. It's just the guy makes news. He used an entire video of mine in one of his episodes, and it was because I said he's not a joker, and he's not a joker. He's far from a joker. He says he's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. He's probably playing like 3 or 4D chess, actually, compared to the moves some people think, and the things that he has achieved, and he's achieved them without breaking the law. He's achieved them with nobody getting killed. He's achieved them with no shots being fired in aggression, and for someone to put a group that big into the three different situations they've been in, you got to talk about him. You got to give him props. You got to give him respect. Is it 100%? Has everything been 100% perfect? No, but it never is. And keep in mind, this is just a 2-month organization. He can't play chess, calling out National Guard and duct taping the mayor. These are all threats. Yeah. I had, in watching the live on Saturday, when he was saying, he said a couple of things that stuck with me, that I've wondered about, because, I tried to, I think the guy was under a tremendous amount of pressure and stress the entire day, and specifically at Churchill Downs when the group came up and basically they were all but boxed in with the police on one side, and there were fences and things, but still things could have gotten out of hand really fast. There could have been some white supremacist pretending to be a protester in the group behind him and fires one shot, and that one shot everybody starts firing. And so I'm not going to discount or anything any of the guests or any of their opinions are. This is live. I'm just telling you what I think and what I feel, and I think Grandmaster Jay, smart people learn all the time. Smart people learn all the time. I try to learn something from, not that I'm smart, I try to learn something from every guest. I try to learn something from every person I meet. Even if I meet a person and all I hear is Trump 2020, USA, 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 I've learned something about them. So I think Grandmaster Jay is learning each and every time. I think that, again, it's only been 2 months. So who knows what's going to happen. And I hope it just becomes such a powerful group that no one wants to challenge that group. And if that happens, that elevates peace, believe it or not, when you look at again, playing chess. And if you do so, you're matching power with power. Anyway, Skip NFAC report on why Trump calls American soldiers who were captured or killed in combat losers, but expects athletes to stand and respect the U.S. flag during the national anthem. I can't explain that. I can't explain anything that guy does. I couldn't explain his tweets. I couldn't explain he didn't have any COVID-19 plan. So no, I couldn't explain that. And as far as dishonoring veterans, especially veterans that was my bell. I've been talking for 24 minutes. Especially veterans that were prisoners of war. I don't see how anybody that calls themselves a patriot could support the guy. Now, I'm not a Joe Biden lover. Joe Biden's answer to how do you get police to be less violent is shoot them in the leg. Anyway, that's what's going to come down to, though. All right, I was invited to the Green Party convention. It was a virtual convention, and I thought, okay, the Green Party platforms is close to my personal beliefs, so let's explore it. They're still you know, they shouldn't really have. They're still in the building stage. Let's just put it that way. They're not going to make a real threat to the presidency. No independent, no write-in, not Kanye. Kanye's just going to try to take black votes away from Biden and nullify them so they don't go to Biden because they're not going to go to Trump. And he's pretty much said that himself, I believe. But this is not. Once again, when I heard Grandmaster Jay at the press conference say, don't vote because your vote won't count because the Electoral College decides who's president. That's the only time in this whole thing I thought, man, this guy might be an agent, because he is an influencer and he's telling black people not to vote. And then, I went, oh, okay, he wants to leave the country, so he doesn't care who's president. So he doesn't care who you. But he said the presidency is determined by the Electoral College. True. It's an old, antiquated system. I don't support it. I wish it was abolished. It's not going to be abolished before this election. What happens is each state votes, and the entire state's vote is counted. And whoever wins that state, Indiana, for example, Indiana has 11 electoral votes. Whoever wins the majority of votes in Indiana gets those 11 electoral votes. So your vote does count, okay? And the Electoral College is the one that elects the president. And it was created in a time when it was to suppress black population's influence. All those things are true, but your vote does count, and especially counts down ballot, because if Grandmaster Jay's telling the black community, don't vote, your vote don't matter, you're going to get a whole lot of congressmen like the dude in Louisiana who said, I'll shoot 10 of them and never spill a beer. We don't want Congress. We don't want Congress people like that. So vote, please. And it's going to come down. It's just like, there are a lot of different kinds of candy, but really there are only like two kinds of licorice. You either get red licorice or you get black licorice. And that's how it's going to be. There are only two kinds of people. There are only two individual people who have a chance to be president. One of them is the current president, and the other one is the former vice president. And as far as which one is less suppressive, okay, less suppressive, because I'm not going to call anybody a Nazi or a white supremacist or anything, especially people running for president of the United States, because hell, you never know who's going to see this show. So one of the candidates is less suppressive, and I'm not going to be out knocking doors for him. You may not ever hear me mention it again until, maybe a couple of days before the election. But there's only one way to get rid of Donald Trump at the moment, and that's to vote for Joe Biden. And vote down ballot, absolutely. If you don't want to vote for either one of them at the top, vote down ballot, absolutely. Incredibly wise thing. Why not expose BLM? I don't know what that's a very legitimate question. I don't know what hasn't been exposed about BLM. I'm not a member of the organization. I say Black Lives Matter, and it's because they do. But I'm not a member of the organization, and honestly, M. Mills, you're right. I should just look at their bylaws and talk about Black Lives Matter, because I have not done that. And you bring up a real good point, and I'm going to do that. No tangibles, no reparations, no black vote. Philip. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, no black vote. There's one party that really doesn't want everybody voting by mail. And the reason they don't want you voting by mail is because it's not as easy to intimidate someone when they're filling out a ballot in their home. When they're on the streets and they're waiting in line, it's a lot easier to intimidate somebody in person. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, you really think that's not going to happen? You can be white and chant Black Lives Matter while setting fires, and Black lives get the blame. That's true. I don't discount that at all. A lot of the footage I've seen, most of the vandalism, a majority of the vandalism was, and this is just what I've seen, what I saw. I'm not saying, it's not all inclusive. It's not monolithic, but from the videos I've seen from various cities, a lot of the first, if not majority, if not totality of the actual breaking shit up and setting fires, a lot of white people were doing it. And there's a clip in Indianapolis that I did an episode on that two women in Indianapolis, one of them got beat pretty bad by the police, and they were standing on the corner arranging, one of them giving the other a ride home. They didn't even know each other, let alone being involved in any of the acts of looting or anything like that in Indianapolis. And it just so happened that it was caught on a live stream, and you can go back and watch that episode. But NFA speak, they just don't speak publicly. Grandmaster Jay is doing enough. He throws threats that we wish he can say he stands up when we wish he could. He's the only person besides Nelson Mandela that can speak for us. Yeah, the NFAC does speak, and it speaks through Grandmaster Jay. And I had Chris on earlier, and we were talking militias, and he was talking about a local militia in a community, say wherever, and how actually you need to know who those militia people are in case trouble arises. You need to know who to go to, who you can trust, who's going to be out there on the front lines. And it's different with the national militia, and in not giving out names and not giving out identities and not giving out numbers. When you're trying to display power, it's a wise move in my personal opinion. I got a screenshot of a crew member with him hiding his magazine. I wonder if I did that. Okay, I don't know. NFAC will need a leader that can see past their ego. Wes, I've never really said anything too terribly negative about Grandmaster Jay, or anybody really, other than anyway. But he says he has a leader in place should something happen to him, and I've never said really anything too bad about him. But the one thing I had said is I was talking about humbling yourself. Humble yourself, or God will humble you. And I've said a lot of things about Grandmaster Jay. Humble has never been one of them. So he has an ego. I don't think anybody's going to deny that. But he's founded something that is historic. It's one of a kind. Yeah, it's based off of off of other things that have been done, but they haven't been done on this scale, on the scale as far as geographically, and on the scale as far as numbers. And so, you know, you got to have a little bit of ego to try to do something like that. But does it hurt the NFAC? Again, I talk politics and public relations. Does it hurt the NFAC at times? I think it might. But again, we have to weigh the inconsistencies we see with the consistencies we see in all things. I'm going to take a couple of more here. I've been on for over half an hour. The only way to change is to come together. I agree with that, Fred. I really do. And that's why I keep talking, in hopes that we can all eventually come together. I love everyone as well, and that's a great place to end it. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. You know, they're scrolling by, and I've only got so much time. I don't want to keep everybody, you know, on here watching for what seems like days on end. It goes by so quick for me, but I just want to thank you all. If you have a question for me that I didn't get to, or comment, send it to americandoofus@gmail.com, or on Facebook, American Doofus, and just message me there. I do go back through the comments on some episodes. I'm going to be doing this, I think, every Tuesday live and every Thursday live at 9 p.m. is what I'm anticipating doing. And again, tomorrow I've got Two Guns coming up. Louisville militia member. He was on before Saturday, and gracious enough to come back on, and we're going to talk about his experiences on Saturday, as well as some really good work he's doing in Louisville. And I'm hoping to have, speaking of Louisville, Maxwell Mitchell is going to be coming on sometime. You know, he's in great demand at the moment, and I can wait because I've got so much to talk with him about. Devontae's going to be on. It'll either be, actually, it will probably be Friday when Devontae's on. And again, you know, anybody out there know the Angry Viking? Anybody know Grandmaster Jay? Anybody know anybody in the white militia? Anybody know anybody that will come on, even in anonymity, as a white supremacist? We're not afraid to talk, and at least not yet. You know, there may be a time if things hit the fan and shit goes down, if it gets bad, you know, there may be a time that we all go underground. That you know, I hope it never gets to that. Makes my stomach turn. But we're going to keep talking, and we're going to talk about what's really going on, and we're going to talk with real people as guests. And I love you all for staying with me so long. Please subscribe, like, and share. And please come back next time. Two Guns next episode, and then some great live guests coming, as well as some great guests coming, and as well as some good lives. And I hope you all have a good life, and I hope your life has been good and it continues to be good. And if your life hadn't been good, hope it starts getting better tonight. It's a dark world, and we should all try to be a light in a very dark world. I hope there's enough of us we can make a difference. We'll see. Only time will tell. Till next time, I'm Barry Welsh. I'm your host. This is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus.